So we're going to video today's session so that those students who aren't with us or studying remotely have a chance to see this. But every year we're kind of treasured to bring in two of our executives from the Metro YMCA, and in particular the East Side YMCA. And so I'm delighted to have gotten to know both of these gentlemen through the years. They've hosted a number of our interns over the years. Even before their time there, we've had interns in all the YMCAs in this community for at least 2 decades that I've been here. And we've been fortunate that we've had great experiences with our interns at this particular Y that they're coming out of. And in fact, we have one there now. They may speak a little bit about that, as well as in the golfing community. You'll hear a little bit about that. So if any of you are thinking about or discerning an internship for this summer or this fall, these gentlemen will be able to speak more to that. They're going to talk directly today about how they market, advertise, promote, and sell YMCA, nonprofit sport programming, memberships, youth sport programming, new initiatives that they have on how they can expand their organization horizontally and vertically. And they'll talk to you about some of the really cool golf programs they've started and even some of the homeschool or private school physical education programs, all of which generate revenue to support the YMCA. So I'm going to go ahead and take roll, and let me pray and get started. After they're done talking, I want us to be able to converse. So think about some questions you may have for them, whether it be programs or mission or anything about the Y, but we're going to have a chance today to be able to interact a good bit with them, and I'll trigger some questions as well. So let me pray to get started, and then I'll allow you gentlemen to introduce yourselves. Let's go to the Lord together. So Father God, we thank you for bringing us together this time today. Lord, and we're appreciative that you bring great friends in our lives and partners. And so we just thank you for these two gentlemen who we've partnered with for years and become friends with, and they give of themselves and they share themselves for our students and our own growth. And just thank you for their love for education and to see the next generation raised up. Lord, help us to glean much from today and speak wisdom through them. And be with those who aren't here today, Lord Jesus. Keep them safe as they travel. And we love you, Father. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Briggs. And so my name is William Coates. I work over at the East Side YMCA. I'm their Director of Development. This is Brent Irving. He's our Sports Director. And Dr. Briggs, I know he doesn't want to age himself, so he always leaves this minor detail out. But Dr. Briggs was my senior professor at Clemson back in 2007, so I've known him for quite a while. So I actually had him as a senior professor, similar to you all. So he's been doing this a long time, good man. So appreciate you guys having us today and letting us come and just kind of talk to you about the YMCA and our organization and what we do and how we market and brand. And so the YMCA, just to give you a quick overview, it's a 501c3. It's a nonprofit, and we are involved in a lot of facets in the community, mostly health and wellness, aquatics, sports, child care. Those are our core kind of things that we work on. And then we have our mission, which is associated with our 501c3, where we raise money. And the money that we raise goes towards scholarships. So anybody that can't afford to come to the Y, we don't turn them away. So if you come to our door and you say, hey, I want my kid to come to camp, but we can't afford $125 a week, we're not going to say, oh, sorry, you gotta go. We provide them a way to still participate. And then one of the new initiatives, everybody's had to kind of shift what they've done since the pandemic started last year, and we really pivoted towards some community service. And the Y's original intent, when it was invented in England a long time ago, was
you asked me, it was like 18
something.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I think it's 67.
their original intent was to feed the soldiers, and so that's what we haven't been feeding the soldiers, but what we did was partner with Greenville County Schools, and we've been feeding over 280 families every week. Every Friday we deliver 280 bags of food across Greenville County. 9 different motels of families that live in those motels. They're homeless, they have multiple kids, and they're struggling. And then we also deliver door to door to different homes. And it's been pretty crazy. There are homes where you would drive up to and you'd be like, man, this is a really nice house, but due to the pandemic, they could have job loss, they could be struggling with all sorts of different things. So, that's been a really tremendous outreach that we've been able to really put together logistically. It was really interesting early on.
Yeah, we started, I really wanna, y'all understand, he's gonna kinda downplay this a little bit. William had a big push in this entire food program. Basically, when the pandemic hit, we really didn't know, the schools. My wife's a school teacher, and a lot of kids are in the school, they provide them breakfast and lunch, and then they give them meals on the weekends. And so, we were like, how can we do this? And William, something that we were working on this summer, we ended up transitioning over to the pandemic, which is so thankful we were able to do that. But we saw the need, and these kids, there's kids living in hotels. And there's 3 or 4, we would walk up and there's 3 or 4 kids in a hotel with two-bedroom hotel.
Sometimes 2 or 3 families.
Yeah, and it was just, honestly, it was one of the, it was amazing just for me. I've been in the law for 12 years, and I was just like, wow, like this is, and so when we continue to do it, Eastside has really took a lead on it, and we took it head on. It's directors, it's not just volunteers. Our directors get involved in it. We get board members, we get members in it, and it's just, William's done a great job with that and leading it. And it's just awesome to see the Y be there for the community. Because most people just think, oh, it's a wellness place. And it's so much more, and that people really had no idea. And
Yeah, after this, I've gotta go pick up 2 pallets of food from Aldi. Every
He
Wednesday,
does.
I gotta pick up. And we spend about $2,500 a week on that program, so it's a tremendous outreach. But I just wanted to kind of give you a feel that it's not, people think of the YMCA, they think of swimming gym and, just sports and working out, but we really do a lot more than just swimming gym. And I know, Dr. Briggs wanted us to kind of talk to you about our marketing and our branding, so I just wanted to give you kind of this is what our brand quick guide for staff that we utilize when we hire new professional staff. And so the Y logo even specifically has changed a tremendous amount since its original inception. And even when I started my professional career with the Y in 2008, this logo was not our logo. So the way the YMCA works is each YMCA has an association in their county. So like you have the Greenville County, you have Spartanburg, you have Pickens, Anderson. And the national organization does not lead us from a operation standpoint. They only provide guidance. The Y is board volunteer ran, so we have a board of directors that oversee our CEO and our staff and our professional staff. So from a branding standpoint, they do provide that guidance. And what they did was they went to work, and they wanted to try to come up with something new that was, inclusive. They wanted it to be a little sharper, a little bit more unique. And so this is kind of what they put together. And so I just wanted to share a couple of key things. If you'll turn to that kind of second page where it says our organizational and brand fundamentals. Our mission, this is why we exist. We put Christian principles into practice through programs that build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. I know you guys probably through your classes, I even remember when I was a student, you would have a class and the professor would be like, come up with a mission statement, a vision, a purpose, a values, a personality. Have y'all done that? You've done that before. So what I wanted you to do is kind of get a sense of this piece of work is, you're talking about years worth of work. And so I wanted you guys to have this, you keep it, you know what sort of model to kind of look to when you may be in this sort of position in the future. But the biggest thing for me out of all this is two things. Is one, the tagline and the elevator speech. For the tagline for us, for a better us. And then the elevator speech, which is just a short description of why we do and why it matters. And make sure in the future, whatever job you do, whatever you need to make sure you have your elevator speech down pat. So that way, if you're anywhere, you can speak to your organization and what the mission is and what you're working on and what you're doing. So I don't want to take up a lot of our time reading through this since you guys can read it, but I did want to at least point out those two things. And so for me personally, my main responsibility is fundraising, And so that's why when it's St. Patrick's Day, so I needed to grab something green, if that counts, but for all is my tagline, is my department's tagline. And so when we're working on fundraising and different things, we speak to for all. If you look at this page, we are very strict on a lot of different things. How we're able to use the logo, how it's presented. You're gonna work for companies that they will be very strict on your fonts, your, how you can, like, I'm not allowed to put that with any other logo. It has to be off by itself. It can have verbiage around it, but I can't go put that on a dancing elephant, you know, for a program. It can't be in something. It has to always be off by itself. Areas of impact, you know, for youth development, for healthy living, for social responsibility, that's when we have our, different marketing that goes along with the logo. And then when we're showing our story, when we're doing things, we have to have our different fonts. We use Cachet and Verdana. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Verdana, is that right?
I don't know.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
We have specific colors. This is our color scheme. So we are only allowed to use these colors when it comes to marketing. And the Y has our own photography and illustration. We have, it's called LinkedIn, and we can get on there and we can pull different things to use for marketing, but I can't go and just use clip art, or I can't go and just do something myself. We want everything look routine, look the same. And so that's when you're building your brand and your image, you think about there's over 900 YMCA's just in this country. There's over 2,500 in the world. If they were all doing their own thing, we wouldn't be able to build our brand and image. And so that's why this material is so important, because we want to make sure everything's uniform and sharp looking and consistent. Now, from a programming standpoint, from an operations standpoint, we all do things probably a little differently. But from brand and image and what we're about and what our goal and mission are is, we try to stay very similar. Right now, we actually just opened up a brand new website, website and app.
Yeah.
So we opened up a new workout app today, and all this stuff that's in this material, it took, what, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
From a website to an app, to really put together, because there's just so much detail that goes into those things. But so that's kind of from a branding standpoint, what from a top down, national down to the individual branches that we have to kind of adhere to. For me specifically, my job position is again fundraising. So I'm in the middle of a $3.3 million capital campaign, and I'm in the middle of a $145,000 annual campaign. So our annual campaign goes from January 1st to April 16th. That's where we have to raise our funds. And it's not just funds, it's pledges. And so the pledges we're able to collect throughout the year, but that money goes to pay for scholarships, the food program. We've got a program called Recess, which for students with diverse abilities, special needs. After they graduate high school, they can shift over to that program and learn life skills. And so all that money that we raise, it's $1.1 million in total for the association for those programs, is my responsibility. And so we'll turn it over to Brent. I know you guys are sports management. When I was at Clemson, that was my minor, and that's how Dr. Briggs and I got connected. Psychology was my major. But I worked as a sports director for the Y for 8 years, 2 here in Greenville and Simpsonville, and 6 down in Myrtle Beach, and running, you know, both of us have ran pretty large sports departments. When I was in Simpsonville, I was doing 1,100 kids in soccer. Myrtle Beach, 800. I ran 2 soccer tournaments that were major tournaments. My first year, my biggest tournament, I had 60 teams. My last year, I had 197. We did over close to 400 games in 2 days. So it was, I'd have a staff of about 120, 80 referees, 40 staff at 22 different fields. So we have a significant background in sports, and then, you know, I've enjoyed the fundraising piece over the last 3 years. But I want to turn it over to Brent and let him share a little bit about our Y and our sports department and those sort of things.
Yeah, I almost caught him. We were at the same Y after he left, and I almost caught him. I had 990, and I was mad I didn't get 1100, but he still beat me on that. So
Still have the
he's got the record, but I'm trying to beat it right now. We'll see. But just kind of going back to the Brandon thing that he had on John Pack. If y'all go back to that second page, and something that we did at the YMCA of Greenville, not the second page, the third page, sorry about that. Where, you know, once you get your mission statement, your vision, and, you know, and all that, you come up with your values. And William does a good job too of what he's doing in the fundraising aspect of it. Is, you know, we have signs, and so our values are caring, honesty, respect, responsibility. And 2 years ago, Dr. Briggs can see it because he has a son in one of our programs. We had the fields change. It went from field 1 to now you have field 1 responsibility, or has one of our core values, and it says it on there. And we just we want to make sure that the community knows what our core values are, everything that we stand for. The same way when William, during our fundraising right now, you know, he has the teams broken up into team caring, or team honesty, or responsibility. So we're just always continuously sitting there and having that up there so people know what the Y stands for. And the same way as when we get into our sponsorships. You know, I do a lot with sponsorships, and it's one good thing that when I came back to Eastside, we started pushing a lot more. Me and William, we work hand in hand a lot. A lot of times I get businesses that maybe want to give to the food program, and he might get a business that just wants to do sponsorships. So we kind of trade off. We work pretty much partners in a lot of different things. And so, but even our sponsorships are even, it says care and honesty sponsorship, or it's just like a level that you have. And so you can have like one that's a year banner for so much amount of money, then you can do a season. And so they're all just named by different ones. And I think we end up having 2 more that aren't on here that we added to. One was fake. And so just make sure that when y'all do come up with your mission statement and your vision, and you just keep that on everything that you do. Even when we're talking about with the agendas, is something that when he was talking about our meetings, we're not allowed to have a sheet of paper printed in a meeting if it doesn't have this at the top left and that down at the bottom. Like, it's got to be. And if we don't, our COO is like, well, what is this? And so everything has to be that way. And it talks about just the unity aspect of it. So, and just like if you go to any of our Ys, which he went to the one downtown, and Dr. Briggs is at the one in TR, but all of our Ys sports programs should look the exact same. If they don't look the exact same, then I have to know about it because I'm actually the head of the chair of the association. But we all look the exact same. The paint might be different. Our operation might be a little different, but the signage, everything, the way that the refs look like, everything like that, everything should look the exact same. So that's what you want to make sure on your branding aspect of, and we've took that to the association level. We want to make sure everything we do is right, like even across the board. I mean, and it's just came down to the point of where one branch has two practices, and I'm only able to offer one. So we've even talked about that because we want to make sure everything looks the exact same. So when y'all do get in that position, you start working on that. Make sure that each department works together. You know, a lot of times departments don't work together. I don't know if y'all work in a lot of places, but me and William have been a part of other branches that the departments aren't close. They don't have each other's back, and so we do a really good job of doing that at our branch. But then also want to make sure as association level that no matter what, if you walk into the Greenville County, the Kane Halter YMCA, or the GIT YMCA, or the Eastside YMCA, everything should look the exact same, at least branding standpoint. I mean, we're not even supposed to, like, if I had to sign up, I have to have it, I don't know why I'm going blank right now, but what's that called when you put it in the thing and Yeah, I don't know why, I'm sorry about that, yeah. I gotta have lemonade, there we go, I don't know why I did that. So I gotta have that, and I cannot put it up, because if I put it up, I get in trouble. So, you know, and that's supposed to be across the board. So we just have to make sure that everything looks and basically looks and feels the exact same way, no matter how we do it. So, and I just kind of wanted to go back a little bit to that, and just kind of touch on a few things, but then when we get into, as far as soccer, you know, sports and all that, you know, when we talk about you, being one Y across the association, we have meetings, and William gets on us, because we have like an hour and a half meeting. But it's because everything has to look the exact same. You know, everybody knows parents are crazy, all right, let's just flat out call it. And sports is when somebody's gonna act wild, all right? Y'all seen the fights on YouTube or whatever y'all watch, and, you know, so you've seen it, so you gotta make sure, you know, everything looks the exact same. So that's why we sit here and we talk about the signs. Everything's gotta look the same. We wanna make sure the refs look the exact same. We wanna make sure the operations, everything just looks the exact same, because of the fact that we want everybody to have the same experience. Now, one thing that I do, that's a little bit different. And when I got back to Eastside, I went to, like I said, I was at Eastside, went to the one in Simpsonville, and then they brought me back. So I call it coming home, because Eastside, I've been there since, you left when, 2009? I came in 2010, we missed each other by like 6 months. So he went to Simpsonville, and then I came to Eastside and started working. So when I left, went to Simpsonville, and came back. I came back, we were at 480 kids in soccer. That's horrible. When I left, we were at 840. And then I was like, what in the world happened? Basically what it was is because of the way the person was, they just were not very, they didn't make everybody feel at home. They wasn't very, I mean, I talked to every single coach. I make sure that every single coach knows exactly what's going on. They have my contact, they can call me, they can email me. Doesn't matter what time. I actually had two calls prior to when William was talking, and that's actually for volleyball was coming up. And if you make people feel that they are just, you know, somebody had a survey come out. They said that Brent has a big program in basketball, but he literally does his best to go by and thank every coach and thank every parent. That's why we just hit, and I told Briggs this number earlier, you know, pre-COVID, we were at 640, and we are about to hit 750 for soccer. Now, people are like, how in the world did you go from 480 3 years ago to now we're at 750? It's literally what I just told you. We all look the exact same. I make sure that every single coach feels like, hey, you know what? This guy cares about me. And the same way with the parents. And some people have said it. I mean, Brent just cares about the kids. And I'm always out there, you know, working with them and talking to them and making sure. Now, one thing, and I was sharing this at lunch, is one thing that I've done is when we talk about sponsorships, I have one sponsorship that, so the Y is a volunteer-based organization, all right? Some coaches, they get paid at Upward or other places, they can get paid to do that. Well, why we can't? So I have 61 teams, I have 61 volunteers. Usually I have about 65 by the time we add assistant coaches. It's a lot of volunteers that I have to ask to coach kids. And some kids, we got little 3-year-olds, and no one ever wants to deal with 3-year-olds. I mean, 3-year-olds playing soccer is a trip. But so my appreciation that I do with them is I got a new sponsorship this year, and I talked to them. I said, hey, listen, like, can we do something for the coaches? So we're getting ready. I got to pick them up tomorrow, but they're giving free meals to our coaches. They have a free meal card. It'll just be like a card like this. They'll show it as many times they want to throughout the entire year. They get to eat that. It's kind of like Moe's, Chipotle, South, what that's called, Southwest Grill, something like that. But it's called Barbaritos. That's one of our sponsorships this year. I'm really excited for one of our coaches. Now, I'll tell you this, if you're at GIT, they don't have anything like that. That's something I personally just do. Like I said, that's just the thing that you personalize your program. And you make sure that people can feel that you put your heart and soul in it. I do that. I'm trying to get something for the association, but it's a little bit harder, you know. Then we got another one tomorrow. Me and William, we have another sponsorship meeting tomorrow, and we'll have another thing for our coaches. And so I try to get these things for these coaches to make sure, hey, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to sit here and coach some of the kids. Because some of the parents, they'll sit here and they'll be like this. And they do that. And the kid scores, they won't even pay attention. You know, and it's sad, but that's the way these parents are. And so I try to do the best I can to make sure our coaches feel just appreciated, and if they feel appreciated, they're gonna do a good job. And we have built that program tremendously, and it's been our team, it's been, you know, with William beside me, and him pretty much, we were partners. Anything he needs in his department, I'm there for him, and anything I need, he's helped me out. And the same way with our other staff, it's just the way we are, so.
And have you ever heard I guess you've heard the phrase, fake it till you make it?
Yeah.
So when you start your career, always remember this, you can fake it till you make it, that is legit.
Yeah,
That is actually legit, but the way you make it is how you make people feel.
Mhm. And that's what we do. I mean, that's what we do at the Y. Everyone feels just special, and like what we've talked about with the food program. I mean, it people just, like William said earlier, it's amazing. We've been around for so long, and people think that we're just a wellness facility or youth sports or child care, summer camp, and it's so much more that we've been there for the community. That it especially during the pandemic, I think people really got to see, hey, you know what? This company, this organization, they stand by what they believe in, and so.
And it's not just about, you know, how you speak to people and what you talk to them about, and your intentional relationship building. It's even the ability to listen, your facial expressions, how you communicate. All those things are important when it comes to making someone feel good when you're in the professional realm. And you may be having a bad day, you may be tired, you may be, you know, something from the corporate office may be bothering you like it does us all the time.
Get an email at 8:30 in the morning, and you think it's ruining the rest of your day.
But when you deal with your guests and your participants, you gotta put that smile on and make them feel welcome, make them feel good. And as long as you're doing that, and the perception is a clean program and that they feel good about, you can mess up 1,000 times and they'll forgive you 1,000 times. So if you take anything away from today, remember when you first start your career, you're gonna have to fake it till you make it, but just make sure you treat people with kindness, and that goes way further than just how you speak to them. It's how you interact with them, how you shake your hand, how you smile at them, how you, even I've noticed, what's your name?
Millie?
What is it?
Millie.
Millie?
Millie.
She, you know, I can tell you're listening, you're shaking your head, you're agreeing, that just the way you present yourself in all aspects of what you're doing.
And I'm gonna add something to that. You know, when I got back to the program, I was real confident. I was like, hey, you know what, I can do this. Like, I can make it from 480 back to 800. And I was very fortunate to work under two guys that did a really good job. But I'll be honest with you, I looked at it and I was like, whew, that's gonna be a big mountain to climb. And I literally just started putting my heart out and was like, all right, hey, look, we're gonna put the kids first. We're gonna make sure everybody just understands that, like, I'm doing everything I can, and I'm gonna fight. And it kind of just overflowed into the program, and now everybody's just like, hey, this is what goes on. You know, they don't expect, like, I had a lady complain today about, because some had to do something different this year. She was like, the last 3 seasons it hasn't been like that. And I was like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. It was because it was something I couldn't help. But anyway, and it's just, when you look at it, it literally is like, you might look at something and you're like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna get this. But if you just put your heart in it, and just let it just go, and actually be passionate about it, it'll work out. It'll work out. So just remember that when you're fake it till you make it, just put your heart into it, man. Y'all got it. Y'all be all right when you get there.
Last time we spoke on some other things, but I wanted to kind of give you guys an opportunity, since he and I have had a lot of different experiences, and one of the things that I thought a lot about even on the way here is the reason we're at where we're at is because we have failed a lot. It's not because we have been very successful, but we've also have failed a lot. And so you have to fail a lot to learn. I don't make the same mistake twice, but I've made them all at least once. So you've got to learn to internalize that and be okay with making those mistakes, because they're gonna come. And then you just gotta hope and pray you're in a situation where you have good leadership that'll forgive you and help you learn and move on, because those things are important. So as you guys are looking at at your careers and what you want to do in the future. You know, and some of the things we've talked about. You guys have, what questions do you have for us? I can tell you a story, I can give you an answer. What do you guys, you know, in your conversations with Dr. Briggs, other things you may have talked about, do you guys have any questions, anything that you want to talk about with us?
I guess I'm sort of interested now, like what do you think was like your biggest mistake and what you learned the most from that?
That's a good one.
Or you don't have to say either.
I've made two. The biggest mistake is make sure you value where you're at. You know, early on in my career, you're so caught up in doing a good job and trying to advance, and you advance and you advance and advance, and you move here, you move there. I should have probably enjoyed I enjoyed my time in Myrtle Beach, but I should have probably valued a little bit more my team, as far as the team that I've got now is very similar to the team I had then. And then in between those two jobs, I didn't have such a good team. And so make sure you value kind of where you're at in the process that you're going through, and just kind of soak it all in, and don't wish yourself to be somewhere else. Just kind of hold that value. For as far as a mistake,
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I'm not taking what he said, but I used to do childcare when I first got there at the Y, and I was summer camp counselor, and then I worked there for 3 or 4 years, and then moved over to sports, and then I started as a sports assistant, and I worked up, and now I'm a sports director, and bounced around a couple of Ys, but I would say I didn't appreciate. I won't say I didn't appreciate. I appreciate it. I just didn't realize how much of an impact you can have on someone's life. Like if you're a coach, because I coached high school before I went to Spartanburg Methodist for a year, and I didn't realize how much impact you can have on young kids in our sports camp, like that we do sports camp. And I got one that plays basketball here. I mean, he love that kid to death. Same way as I got 2 kids that, one's got 25 offers, 32 in football. Hopefully Alabama calls him today, we'll see. And then we have another one that has 25, and they started at sports camp and they were in 3rd grade at the Y. And I didn't really understand how much of an impact. I was just a 19, 20, 21-year-old kid, just having fun, playing flag football, working on agility drills. I didn't think nothing about it. And then now these guys are 18 years old. And so when you do get there, just kind of appreciate whatever it is, just appreciate where you're at, because it goes by fast. I mean, I can't believe we've worked together already as long as we have, and just appreciate it, because you really just don't understand how much of impact, how you can have on people. And I've learned that, and so like with our interns, that we have, I really just try to give as much as I can to them, the same way as William, and our executive director does that as well, because he's a former sports director. So we try to just pour everything we can in, just try to just overload them so they understand and just soak it all in. So, but I would say kind of that. As far as mistakes, I really had not.
I'll give you one that I did 2 weeks ago, but I was able to flip it.
Yeah,
So,
we usually flip things up.
have you ever heard of, it's called Metro Mud, it's a company, I still don't even know what they do. And they accidentally sent us a check for $3,000, and I looked them up in our system, and they've never donated to us in the past. And there's this lady named Amy Rowan, and so I call her up, and she's in our system. I'm like, hey, we got this check, and it says golf. But
That was so weird. I remember that. Yeah,
I was like, but I have not talked to anybody from this company about a $3,000 donation for our golf program. She's like, well, let me talk to our owner and see what's going on. And so she calls me back. She's like, actually, that check's meant to go to the Charlotte YMCA. And so I'm like, oh, that's great. And so I'm at the house for lunch and I'm on the phone with her and, I'm not thinking, and I can't even remember what happened, but we got off the phone, I told her about the food program, I was like, hey, do you mind if we were to use that and y'all send another $3,000 to Charlotte? And because we're in the middle of our fundraising, it'd be a major contribution, we'd love to get involved with your company. She's like, yeah, let me pass that along. And so later on, I was texting her and I called her the wrong name on the text. And I have never spoken to this lady outside of this one situation before, and I'm trying to get $3,000 out of it. And so I'm sitting there texting, and I called her the wrong name because I just had a conversation with another lady, and I called her that lady's name. Because I'm ADHD a little bit, so that just happened. So I caught myself a little later on, I was reading back through it, I was like, what? And so I just apologized. I apologized, she laughed it off, but that was, that's a mistake. You don't want to call them their wrong name, especially the first time. But ended up, we sent the $3,000 check back to Charlotte, and then they ended up giving us $2,500. So, off of just a random series of events, in a series of events where I made a mistake. And that's, some people would think that'd be disrespectful. Oh, you don't remember my name, I don't want to deal with you. But that lady, I addressed it immediately, I apologized, and she was very kind, and we were able to, partner together. So, there was another one that I was
I'm trying to think of the actual mistake that I've done, and usually I'm able to smooth things over.
I'd say another one that I've learned over, make sure you're patient. Make sure, you just never know what can come from a single conversation or relationship. And where, there have been instances where I've probably been more stern with a parent than I should have because they're frustrating me, or, we're in an argument, and I had an argument with a mom arguing over, having to wear a face mask at basketball practice a couple weeks ago. She was very ugly and very rude. And so, you only go so much to where you have to be stern yourself. And in that situation, it was, ma'am, here's our policy. If you can't adhere to it, you'll have to leave. And so the end result was, well, I'm not gonna leave my kids by myself, is what she said. I said, well, I'm not gonna punish your kids. So you can go back in there and not wear your mask, and since you only got 20 minutes left, but next practice, you'll have to follow the print.
Yeah.
And so I've learned throughout my career to make sure, when every bit of your being wants to shake someone and yell at them and have an argument, don't do it. And one of the things that happened last Wednesday, I told you I'm going to pick up this food from Aldi. And so I've been dealing with them over the last couple of weeks, and they've been kind of hit or miss on some things. And so last week, their two main managers were out of town on vacation. And so there's this new manager there, and I showed up, the order wasn't ready, she wasn't ready, and I'm on a time crunch. And so, but I'm still inside, I'm furious. I'm angry because this is like the third problem that I've had with them. And, but I'm kind to her, I'm nice, I, tell her, she doesn't really know what we're doing, so I tell her what the food is for, how we're helping people. And so she gets everything taken care of, I give her my card to pay, she comes back, we're loading up the truck, and she says, well, hey, if there was somebody that wanted to make a donation to this program, what would we need to do? I was like, well, I could send you a link to the giving website, and it's a tremendous help, because she saw the receipt, she saw how much I was spending. And so she's like, well, me and my husband would like to donate $2,000 to the food program. I've never met this woman before, never talked to her before, but because because I didn't do what I wanted to do, which was say, how do you guys have this messed up for the third week in a row? Do I need to go to the Aldi and Greer instead of the Aldi and Taylor's? Instead, I held it together, was kind. I got $2,000 out of the blue.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stories like that we could just write. It happens because of just, like I said, you kind of just hold back and just listen to people.
So it's really important that often you just swallow your pride and do the right thing. And our exec and I talk all the time about you do good things and good things are gonna happen. That's just, I know it's cliche, but it is accurate. Anybody else have? Yes, sir.
So I have a question regarding like the interns and like the people that start working that you see. What is one thing that you would say that they do wrong when they start working? And one thing that you really appreciate about like new people coming in, like maybe one thing that you would be like, oh, this thing you should change it, you should improve it right away. And something that you would say, oh, he's already very good at it, even if he has few experience.
From my experience, the ones that I've had so far, I've had all good interns, but I've been very fortunate, and we have talked about that. But there's a couple of instances I can think of is they wait, and basically they wait on me to tell them what to do. And I don't have time to do that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I have 800 kids, 750. I have to respond to parents. I have 750 parents. I have 60 people or 75 people in golf. And then on top of that, I gotta do fundraising for him, sponsorships. I got time for you to sit here and be like, well, what do you need me to do? But man, you're grown man, grown woman. Let's go. Like, it's time to pick it up. So if you do get an internship, not with just us here, but also any other place, go in and you go to them and say, hey, listen, what do you need me to do? And make sure you're like, all right, make sure you get a full understanding of the job and make sure that you can tell that they're eager. One of the best ones that we had was, regardless if it was in sports or if it was in fundraising or if it was in membership or wellness, wherever it was, he bounced around to the point where when it was his last day, everybody was sad. And he didn't even work in their department. Everybody was like, well, he's really leaving? I'm like, yeah, guys, his semester ends, he's gotta go. So, but that's one thing I can say is just make sure that you're eager to learn, because a lot of people don't have time, especially right now dealing with the COVID stuff. That it's put a lot of strain on what we do, and I can imagine the other companies as well. So just be ready to go once you get into that. And then also just be willing to learn everything you can. Soak it up. I mean, because you never know, and I tell them this, and when they meet with me, and I try to meet with them once a week, they have no idea who's walking around on that soccer field. I do, because I pretty much know everybody that I try to go out there and talk to, because I really try to meet every single body. And William does, because he sees the list. He sees who donates, he sees where the kid's at. I mean, we kind of, that's why we work together a lot about things.
The lieutenant governor of this state walks around on our soccer field.
Yeah. So, yeah, Brett.
Don't get her up there, did you? That's awesome.
Her son played for
Yeah.
Soccer Press last year.
So we have a lot, we have business owners, people, and we get people that donate stuff all because they're talking. So that's why I tell the interns, hey, be present on the fields and make sure you're talking to these parents and be visible, because you never know what if the internship that you like, it might be with them. Or maybe you can get a job, maybe you're interning with us, but then you get done, they like the way you work, hey, get a job there. It's possibilities if you're out there and you work hard.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the most important thing with an internship is immediate relationship building, don't wait.
Yeah.
And if you have an opportunity to talk to anyone, do it, learn who they are, introduce yourself, get in a really habit of how you want to introduce yourself, how you want to present yourself, because every person you come across is an interview, basically.
Yeah.
When you're in an internship. And so, for example, Jordan Holiday, he's an intern of mine I'm on the board at Carolina Golf at Botany Woods, and so he's interning for us at the golf course, doing a wonderful job. We've got multi-millionaires that are in that golf course that own businesses. So, like for him, and that's what I encouraged him. I'm like, when you're out there, talk to members, get to know them, enjoy that aspect of it, but just know that how you present yourself to these men that are out here playing golf, they could offer you a job. depending on the work that they see you do here, they can say, hey, my buddy Craig Sickley owns a $40 million pool company. Craig Sickley said, hey, Jordan, man, I appreciate the work you've been doing out here for us. I want you to come work for my pool company. And so those interactions, from similar to what Brent's saying, I'll just kind of go a little further. When you go into an internship, even a place of work, and you're getting ingrained, look for work that someone doesn't have to tell you to do. So if, for example, Seth, who's our intern at the Y, if he sees that the trash cans are full, Brent shouldn't have to tell him to go dump those trash cans out. He just needs to do it. Yeah. And then when Brent sees that, that's gonna make Brent feel good about Seth. And I know it's something that's very small, but you wanna look for work. Not only just the work that they're telling you to do, but if you wanna see something that you wanna make better. And if you take that initiative and that's gonna impress that person, and then boom, it's just that next opportunity. So it's all about just creating opportunities for yourself through relationship building, and then seeking out small little projects that you can do to help wherever you're at. Anybody else?
I got a couple for you, maybe this will spring some. I was making some notes here. So, who did you guys work on this, or was this more of a national that put this together?
This
The branding
is-
and our story.
It is, so,
A little bit of both.
it's a little bit of both, yes. There's a
Like-
little bit of Greenville in here and a little bit, and a lot of national.
Cause like if you go to the color code, like right there, that's national.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
our mission, like our, purpose, value, some of these things are more Greenville specific.
So like the logo being slanted instead of going straight up and down like it used to be, stuff like that, that's, and it just all kind of depends on, if you have a national brand or if it's local.
Brett, you were talking about raising, kind of money or sponsors for, you gave some examples of for team coaches or for an individual program. Do you guys find it easier to find sponsors or to fundraise for individual teams or an individual program like golf? Do you find it easier for an individual program, or is it easier for people just to sponsor the whole Y or the big foundation or the big giving element?
Personally, what I see is, I think it's easier to, if they have, like a team, just for me. Now, the amount of money, if it's a company, will be more, it'll be a bigger gift if it's for the program. But it's easier, cause like I'll send a link out, I'll just send like a little flyer, and I say, hey, who's interested, and I got like, close to four grand, just sending the link out. And I just send that out, and then they'll say, hey, yeah, I wanna sponsor my grandson's thing, and then I kinda talk to them, and then, I know who did it last year, hey, do y'all wanna renew your sponsorship for this year, and stuff like that.
Whereas, I worked with Great Clips last year, and we did $30,000 for the entire association, the first sponsor. So that got them, and Waldrop, they were a sponsor, $30,000 sponsor of us, and Cameron and I approached them about doing an in-kind new HVAC system in the gym, which is $200,000, and they did that for us, and we gave them a 2-year deal of no cost to be our lead sponsor.
And kind of going off with the Great Clip thing, something that we came in, so, all right, so let's think about this, all right, that's what I'm gonna tell you about, all right. Sports trader East Side, I'm sitting there, what did I tell y'all about? I go up every single coach and I tell them, thank you so much, coach. Oh, there's one guy, I was like, hey man, I appreciate you coaching this year, I was like, we can't do without you. He's from another branch. He's like, man, I appreciate it, I had so much fun. He goes, you know what, man, next year, he's like, I hate this year, we couldn't do it, but next year, he said, we're gonna get Great Clips in the back of them jerseys. And I said, huh? I was like, oh yeah, I know, I really hate it. He said, yeah, he goes, I'm the Greenville, he's like, I'm the Southeastern rep down here. He goes, y'all don't have to worry about dealing with Minnesota anymore. And he's been talking to Minnesota nationwide, trying to do this. And the other director, if I name no names, the other director did not know that person was in their program. And all we had to do is now, I mean, I said, William, got it, send him the email, send him the contact. I said, we're locked in for next year. Like, as long as COVID, you know, died down, we're good, you know.
COVID knocked that 30K out for us this year, because Craig Clips, closed down for so long. They'll revisit it, and they are partners with the Wasserman Group out of Charlotte, and so we're working with them for next year.
Yeah.
And that's already happening now, those conversations already happening now. I work with Coca-Cola on a $10,000 sponsorship for our I Can Buy camp. And it's a camp where we teach kids with special needs to ride a bicycle. And Coca-Cola sponsors that camp and pays for the entire thing. It's an organization called I Can Shine, and they bring in these specialty bikes. They are incredible. And they are able to take these special wheels off, and I mean, you can't fall down.
Yeah.
And so, but it's very expensive. They bring like 40 to 50 of these bikes, and then they have these trained instructors that come and help us lead the camp. We provide volunteers, but it costs me about $8,500 to pay them to come. And then I gotta put them up in a hotel for the week. I've gotta pay for their lunch and dinners. We pay for the lunch of all the volunteers every day. So, that partnership with Coca-Cola, it goes a long way. I'm already in the works with them right now on the summer's camp. And so, I would always say, for major events, major things that you're doing, give yourself 6 months. You need to start 6 months before, sometimes years out. When I was in the soccer tournaments, I was 3 years ahead because I was having to book my fields and these venues 3 years out with the city of Myrtle Beach.
It was so massive.
Because they hold these dates, they'll hold the dates for you because they have sports tourism is such a big part of what they do.
And another thing I can say is, when you go into sponsorships, the worst thing, this sounds so stupid, but the worst thing they can tell you is no. So don't be worried about it. I remember when we talked to the one gift about the HVAC system, we were sitting there and we were having a meeting, and the gentleman, just after we got done talking, he pretty much just looked at us and was like, go ahead and ask me. Like, and then we were just sitting there like, we were like,
He knew what we wanted.
He knew, and he knew, and so Cameron.
He told us to ask.
He said, "Go ahead."
He said, "What are you waiting on? Just ask." He said, "Just ask me."
And I was glad to be a part of that meeting, to sit in there and learn, because that was y'all hear the amount. That's a huge amount. All right. And I've done 10, but I have not done that big. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started learning a little bit as well, and so it's okay. Like, the worst thing will tell you is no. I get told no all the time, like, it don't matter. And same way with him, I got called, and this year we've got told no a little bit more because of COVID, what hit us last year. But we've increased gifts and we've dropped gifts. I mean, you just really don't know what you're gonna get, but just be willing to ask and just let people know.
Now, stay in that vein, do you find this local small business is very willing to do sponsorship and support in the local community?
Yes, I would say with vendors, they're a whole lot easier to get. Okay, so our first vendor for our jerseys, it was nothing but a quick ask of, hey, can you donate, let's say it's $10,000 to the association for a sponsorship. That's a whole lot easier than asking somebody from Atlanta. That's why that's why that relationship with Great Clips, that gentleman that I met was so crucial, because now he's a coach in our system. We know him, like it's more personal. Instead of some email that anybody can send an email. But let's sit here and let's make this, hey, you know how I care about this program. I know what you do for the program. Let's personalize this a little bit more. So yes, I would say locally is a lot easier, especially with vendors. But when you start getting nationally, it gets a little difficult sometimes. I mean, you can still do it, but it's just a little harder.
One of the things that I've found a lot of success with is multi-tier asks. So for example, I just did one with United Bank for 15 grand, and we've accumulated a lot of different programming into one partnership. So they're gonna help with our food program, they're gonna help with I Can Buy, they're gonna help with Water Safety Day, they're gonna help with our recess program, they're gonna help with summer camp, and I laid out a long proposal for them. And so anything that's $2,500 or more, I generally try to do a multi-tier ask with some sort of proposal. $1,000 and below can just be a conversation. And then as you establish that relationship, the proposal can go away.
Yeah.
You can have the conversation. But when you're first starting out and you're trying to build that relationship and build the trust and confidence that the money that they give you is gonna be used in the right way, you wanna really have it dialed into a proposal, be very specific, that sort of thing.
Go ahead, Millie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So you were talking about how you were like growing your programs and like getting a lot more participation and like putting your heart into it. What would you say was like the most effective way to get more participants? Like how did you recruit or whatever?
How to get more people?
Yeah.
Quality of program, bottom line. When I came back, you gotta think, the YMCA is a beginner. Let's just call it what it is. We're not CISA. So, you know, people go over there to play CISA, they about 10, 11 years old, start aging out. Well, this guy had this program, when I left, it was 840. He had it for almost, it was 3 years, 3 soccer seasons. So you gotta think of spring and fall. And so what ended up happening was, it was just slowly, it was little things. It was just the quality of program that it slowly kept slipping. And then when I came back, now you gotta think those 3-year-olds, now they're 6 and 7, you know, or they're, you know, and they've already left, they're gone to CSAR, they're gone to, you know, Greenville Rec, wherever they're at, you know. So when I came back, I had to start back with my bread and butter, which is my 3 through 5-year-olds and my 6 and 7s. Well, and my 8 and 9s, and so we've sat here and focused on that at Eastside. And when I got back, I had 1 12, 14 girls team. This year I have 3. That's bottom line. We just sat there and focused on it. You said, all right, we're gonna make the quality overall better, so the parents stayed. And then once I earned their trust, they keep saying like that mom, she was like, well, you've never had 12 kids on a 4 and 5 team before. I know, because that's a lot of kids, but that was something that I could not help. But she's only done soccer here the past 3 years. 4 years ago, when that gentleman was doing the soccer, they had 12 or 14 on a 4 and 5 team consistently. I only usually do 8 to 10, but I kind of couldn't help it this time. So it's the quality of the program.
Is that like word of mouth, do you think then? So like someone who's in the program says it's so good to their family?
Yeah, and word of mouth is
Social media.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
social media, and you just, I mean, marketing yourself, like, as, you know, how we market it, how I send things out, like we'll send a nationwide email or branch email out. I'll send something out. We have this thing called Player Space, so it's where we do all of our communication. I'll send something there, and then I'll send something personally through my email to my coaches saying, hey, reach out to your former players. And then I'll send something in the midweek, you know, not the midweek, mid-registration, so probably 2 to 3 weeks in. And then the last week, I'll say, hey, last week to sign up, you know, and just let them know that. And that way they just kind of know. But over time, I mean, it's going to take time to fix. I mean, I've been working the same way since I got there. And I was very shocked when I saw the numbers this year. I was like, it's finally paying off, because, you know, I was like, man, you know, we were doing good, and then the pandemic happened. I was like, oh man. And
It goes back to your branding.
yeah.
Similar to Coca-Cola, the bottle can look nice, but if the ingredients don't taste good in the bottle, the brand's gonna be crap. I mean, and so with soccer, with everything, our camps, everything we're doing, those things have gotta work in unison together and be strong to make sure that everything in this booklet, you know, when somebody sees the why, that, you know, they wanna be a part of it. Kind of like what you were saying, the word of mouth is absolutely tremendous. I can't tell you how many times something has circled back to me that, you know, just a small thing, that when you get older and become ingrained in a community and you start working, you're gonna find out real quick that everybody knows everybody or somebody that you know, and so that's what I was talking about. It's very important how you represent yourself and present yourself no matter where you're at, no matter what situation you're in, because it could circle around and again, it could provide that extra opportunity for you. So do y'all athletes? I haven't heard y'all talking about games. What do y'all play?
So we're in the tennis team.
Tennis?
Tennis, okay.
Nice.
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse, all right.
Basketball.
Okay.
Coach Lister, my man. He was, my high school teacher at Eastside High School. He was the basketball coach there when I was at Eastside High School. And he and I started FCA together at Eastside. Really, really wonderful man. I called him while we were eating lunch together over the, that's all, but yeah, he's the man. What did you say you play?
Track and field.
Track and field, okay, cool. Is everybody local? You local, you from here?
Yeah.
You're from
Columbia? Yeah, Josh, that's your name, right? Where are you from?
I'm from here.
You're from here in Greenville? Or everybody else too? No?
I was like, nah.
Minnesota.
Minnesota? I know you're not from here.
I'm from Italy.
Italy, awesome.
There you go, yeah.
You have the pride.
That is actually on my bucket list, man. I
It's
really
cool.
wanna go
What
there.
part of Italy?
Like north, like 45 minutes from Milan.
Okay,
Yeah, north, close to Switzerland.
okay. I've been to Rome and, what's the one?
Florence.
Not Florence.
Venice.
No,
Venice.
Venice, yeah, I've been to Venice. I haven't been to Florence. I wanted to go there. I heard it's really pretty, but when I
Oh, yeah,
backpacked
sure.
through, I didn't go to Florence. I heard it was
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's amazing.
What about you guys? Y'all
Mexico,
Mexico, what part?
Mexico City.
Mexico City, cool.
I'm in Colorado.
Colorado, man, all ways away.
Lacrosse bring you out here?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. That's cool, man.
Is lacrosse, I mean, is it pretty big in Colorado? Is that?
Yeah, it's very big.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said Columbia? What high school did you get to?
Airport.
Okay. Yes, sir, are you a South Carolina fan?
Look, man, you can say I am. You can don't worry about it.
Smart man. Purdue?
Man, I feel bad for you.
Oh, Duke.
I feel bad for you this season, man.
So who's your pick? I'm about to fill out my bracket tonight. Who should I put down? Illinois.
Okay.
What?
Michigan.
You don't think Gonzaga's gonna win?
Gonzaga beating Illinois.
Well, I'm gonna come around and give you my card. That way you guys, if you need anything, have any questions, if you need an internship, shoot me an email.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, do y'all have any more questions?
Any more
What's your
questions?
favorite one?
What, that? Oh, I like the black
He
one.
likes the black. My favorite one is
Thank you, sir.
that one. I think it's one.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.